And speaking about the structural changes of the NBA when it comes to the money, a guy that went through it the most is Julius Randle. Right here, this is where I like to humanize a lot of the players, as Julius Randle came through NYC at a very unique time in his career as he was trying to find a home, and the Knicks were in the very beginning stages of a rebuild. But because of the pandemic that happened in 2020, the Knicks had a lot of off time, and Randle was able to revamp his game and kind of jumpstart the team into getting much further along into their rebuild by having a breakout season and making the playoffs. Let's not forget, Julius Randle has kicked off this whole version that we see in the Knicks today, where the expectations of the team is to make deep playoff runs. Now, Randle did have a bad season in between in 2021, and this is where a lot of the so-called hate comes from with Randle, but it's really a misunderstanding because the Knicks at that time did not have a point guard. Derrick Rose came into that year hurt, and Leon Rose took a gamble on Kemba Walker when his body was not right, and that gamble ended up failing and falling on into Julius, as he had to play the whole season as a point forward, knowing that the Knicks didn't really have the outside shooters to make that all work. Again, we're going to humanize Randle right here, as he did take a lot of the burden in his first couple of years in New York, even though the team was incomplete. RJ Barrett just got drafted. The Knicks didn't even have a lot of outside shooters like that. And in this digital age, a lot of media outlets, once they find something kind of gets the algorithm going, they latch on to that. And the Julius Randle hate is part of that. You got media members like Craig Carlton making lies on Julius Randle, saying that he went to the Knicks front office and requested a trade. So Randle has dealt with a lot while being at NYC, but eventually we got OG and Brunson. And right before he got hurt, the Knicks were in an incredible winning streak, playing beautiful basketball, beating the Miami Heat, beating the Denver Nuggets, and then Randle gets injured. And that's tough because that injury had a domino effect on a lot of different situations. Isaiah Hartenstein was able to start and uplift his own value in the open free agency market. And now we see him part of the Oklahoma City Thunder, being one of the main pieces contributing to their championship run. Again, the Knicks having Randle out there as a nice little value piece alongside guys like Isaiah Hartenstein, Josh Hart. All these things was part of Randle's value. But once the Knicks had to pay Josh Hart, then you lose Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency. That's where things began to get tricky. And when Randle got hurt after that match against Miami, come to find out he was going through it. The Knicks weren't quite negotiating with him on a brand new deal, and he fell into a funk. I can understand that. He was there when the Knicks were building from scratch. And now the writing is on the wall that that contract extension is not going to happen, and he did not have that much leverage out in the open market. You see, the tricky thing is with Randle, he got caught up in a certain whirlpool where players who had great production numbers, but they were still trying to prove their value. Jimmy Butler was caught up in the same whirlpool. Brandon Ingram. That's why Jimmy Butler had that whole back and forth with Pat Riley. He was going to get fucked over the same way Randle did. Rich Paul made comments about Brandon Ingram not necessarily having leverage out in the open market, even though he was a productive player. Jimmy Butler was the only one to survive being in that whirlpool. The Warriors bailed him out by trading for him, giving him a brand new contract, but Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle end up getting fucked. Matter of fact, in their contract renewals, even though the NBA has gone through a brand new television deal and the money is up, both Brandon Ingram and Julius Randle actually making the same amount of money or a little bit less, which is not typical of an NBA player putting up these type of stats. Even if they get a 7% increase, these guys got less money than Emmanuel Quickley did. Again, the NBA in the last 2 years has been in a transition. So guys like Emmanuel Quickley, they caught the end of it where they're able to secure a decent contract. He got 5 years, 175, and Julius only got 3 years for 100, being a two-time All-Star, making the All-NBA team twice, even though guys like Trae Young only made it once. And he actually has the responsibility of being the second leading scorer, something that Quickley has never had to do, but yet he was able to secure a much larger deal. Randle definitely put in work in NYC, and he deserves it. I'm not going to lie, but once again, I'm humanizing these guys because this is tough. This will make anyone fall into a funk where they put in the work and all of a sudden they got left in the back burner. The league is going through a transition and you kind of have to take less money, especially when you count it with inflation. But you guys check out what he had to say.
Now it just feels very settled. I would say even this summer and leading up to the season is probably the happiest I've been in a really long time as far as just career, family, everything. You know how New York is, man. You're under a different microscope. So it's like you're not just battling and trying to win. It seems like you're battling a million different things. At the end of that time, I was kind of at my darkest moment. Just miserable, like in a way where I just was not having fun going to work every single day. I would just be in there watching TV in a dark room. I didn't even want to show my face. I kind of just wanted to be left alone and, in hiding. Just very frustrated and angry and all those different emotions. It just wasn't a good place to be in. When I got traded, I'm like, damn, I can't believe this got taken from me, Randle said. It's like, you worked so hard to build something, and it was just snatched away. Once I got here, I was like it was a breath of fresh air. I've been loving it ever since, even when things weren't going as good. It was never about me as an individual. I think it was more about what my worth was, Randle said of the conversation around him. Am I a winning player? Do I contribute to winning? And that's really all I wanted to show. And when it was time for me to play my best basketball, that's when I was able to play best basketball. Because I was just able to focus on that. When I'm here, I feel like I don't have to be perfect every single day. And that just allows me to have that easiness and be comfortable to be like, all right, I'm not perfect every single day, but I'm trying my best. And people aren't judging me just because you have one bad moment or two bad moments.
And playing in a city where the media really trolls the Knicks fan base instead of actually covering the team. It's very ironic because no other team actually faces this, where the media actually gets a lot of clicks, to get a lot of views based off of trolling a fan base. ESPN plays into this a lot, especially with Stephen A. Smith putting on that stupid fucking character where he's a stressed out fan. But Randle definitely has put in the work. Notice how he mentioned his worth. Listen, any one of us would be stressed the fuck out if we were owed a pay bump and we put in the grind and all of a sudden we get put in a situation where we got to take a pay cut. Again, the NBA business is a cold game. It's truly a cold game out here. Leon Rose lost a few of his value contracts. Guys like Josh Hart, his new deal kicked in. And most importantly, we didn't have the bird rights to Isaiah Hartenstein. And because of the Randle injury, he was able to prove his value and land a large contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And all that right there caused a reevaluation of the Knicks actually having Randle on the team now, with him in an upcoming contract. See, last season, there was a slow conditioning with all of us Knicks fans. When we first seen the difference between the squad when Randle was there versus when Cat was there, there was a lot less, I would say, defensive attitude. The Knicks, I'm going to keep it a blunt right here, they looked a lot softer. The defense wasn't there. The attitude wasn't there. There was no Dante. There was no Randle. The team looked a bit more finesse instead of the old East Coast gritty bump and grind basketball that we all love. Even Triple OG Miami Heat legend Udonis Haslem acknowledged it.
So you need the heart.
You right about that?
Skill set, Cat sit at the top of the list. Heart, he might be in the middle. And that's not a knock on him. It's not a knock on him. No. Everybody don't have to be the tough guy. Everybody don't got to be the lightning in the bottle guy. Mm-hmm. That just might not be his thing.
That's not his role. Yeah, that's not his thing.
But you lost a lot of toughness when you lost Hartenstein to OKC, when you lost Randle in the trade, and when you lost DiVincenzo. You told DiVincenzo the other day.
What? Did you see that?
I ain't the one. If it was you, this is what you get, or whatever you said to him, like that. So listen, that matters, dog. Trust me, a motherfucker like that, DiVincenzo, I don't even know the motherfucker. 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Come on with me. I take it.
To me, it was a unique spot because if you say he won the trade, and he easily could have, I mean, it's always going to be fun to see.
Who knows what that draft pick they got?
I don't. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, he had to do it financially because Cat had all those, like, on the books, they're going to get killed financially. So he had to make those kind of moves too now. You know what I mean? So it's interesting how he did that.
Listen, Killer, that sound good, but if the Cat was guaranteed to take them to the championship, you pay that tab, you get your ring.
100%.
So clearly, the financial moves was based off.
I'm saying
we ain't winning with this.
I'm saying you're playing chess now.
We ain't winning with this.
You're playing chess now.
That's what he said. We ain't winning with this.
Yeah, you said it
too.
I would say the Knicks weren't winning without Isaiah Hartenstein being there. They needed Hartenstein. That was a great value for what they had him for. And as you can see, he made a difference with the Thunder. The Thunder really addressed a lot of the issues that they had from last season. They got Alex Caruso, another defender out in the wing, in which they got killed by Kyrie Irving in that Western Conference Finals, I believe. And they struggled with the rebounding, and that's why they went and grabbed Hartenstein. And when you correlate it with the Knicks, the issues from the Pacers series was athleticism and depth at the bench. Now, because the way the cap is structured right now and how much the Knicks are paying Karl-Anthony Towns, it leaves very little wiggle room. They're going to have to land on players in the draft. That's why it's important that Big Mo gets playing time this season. So does Tyler Kolek, Dadier, and others.
I don't know about the rest of the team, but you got at least 3 on that squad that going to let their nuts hang.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards ain't no motherfucking dog. I mean, ain't no punk. He a dog.
Yeah.
DiVincenzo is a dog, and Randle is a dog. That shit matters in the
All right,
playoffs.
Coach, I like
That shit matters.
And Randle kicked LeBron's ass last year in the playoffs. Make no mistake about that. He fucking dominated LeBron. Like, that shit wasn't even close. Yo, Randle should definitely get more respect from a lot of the Knicks fan base. I don't know what's up with the fucking trolling. It's unbelievable.
in the finals.
I think I actually hear and I'm listening to what he says, and a lot of it is true.
Okay, yeah.
I think Cat going there plays better off of Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson's a ball dominant guy. Julius Randle's a ball dominant guy. Cat's more of a catch and shoot three, unfortunately. They're trying to put him in that post a little bit. So I think the Knicks got better. I'm with him. I don't think it pushed them, but I think, you know, Brunson and Julius Randle, when they played their best basketball, Julius Randle was actually hurt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, Julius Randle's a great talent.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson's obviously a great talent. Both ball dominant guys. Like, I think Brunson and Cat can play off each other a lot better than Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson can.
They could definitely play off each other a lot better, but now leaves the Knicks in this whack-a-mole situation on defense. And you've seen it happen a lot last year in the Pacers series. The athleticism, how deep the Pacers roster was, that shit ended up beating up the Knicks, because you could even see it in the fourth quarter of Game 6. The way the Pacers just kind of ran out in transition, the Knicks defenders were they were gassed. So we see why the Tom Thibodeau experience peaked. This Knicks offense has to be clicking on a whole nother level to make up for a lot of their defensive inefficiencies.
Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson can.
Man,
but
he talking.
It's the truth.
He talking that X's and O's. When you getting a 7-game series in the playoffs, X and O.
See, hold up. Vic, can I start off by saying I actually listened to what he said? I think he's right.
Damn, Steve Kerr. If you do this and move that around and this all that.
So
okay.
hold on. Okay,
Man.
let me hit you one back. You don't think that Cat and Brunson are better paired up than Julius Randle and Brunson?
I do.
Okay,
I think
well
they're
then
better
just,
paired up.
Yeah,
But
we can
that's
both
just-
be right.
Yeah,
we
okay,
can
but
both
at
be
the
right.
end of the day, all the better pair. I don't give a about the better pair. That shit gonna win. Is that shit
No,
get it done?
I agree with you though. I don't think.
Facts. In Game 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals, they needed to get it done right then and there. And I believe that's where Tibbs kind of reached a peak with Leon Rose. The Knicks had to get it done in Game 2 against the Pacers. They stole Game 1. They had to get it done in Game 2 offensively, and the offense looked bleak. That's the fucking difference between the Thunder in the finals. J-Dub and SGA responded. They responded. They blew those motherfuckers out. There's been too many questions for the amount of money the Knicks spent to have all that offensive firepower, to have those type of fucking results in Game 2. We got punched in the face in Game 1, and offensively, we were fucking crickets in Game 2. So a lot of questions have to be answered right there. So Udonis Haslem asking the question, can they fucking get it done, is 100% on point.
I think it either moves it over. I just
And
think
once
that
again,
this is what we do all
taking
the time.
away,
trust me, I
taking
know.
away from the trade, missing Hartenstein is gonna hurt them.
Bro, right when you said
he was
it,
a
promise
great- he was a great piece.
They removed all
He was
the
a good
element of
piece.
glue from the scenarios.
Yes.
Hartenstein,
Yes.
DiVincenzo,
Yes.
like the glues.
Those are the
I'm
guys,
with you.
bro. Let me tell you something.
And
Those are the
believe me, if
guys
anyone
that might not
if
get the
anyone-
praise.
Hey, if anyone values those type of guys,
Exactly.
it's me and
Exactly.
you.
Those are the guys that might not get the praise, but those are the guys that you can't win without.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro. Those guys, you need those guys in your locker room. And I know a lot of the times you might get frustrated with Julius Randle on offense and shit like that, but I bet that got heart.
No, he a dog. I'm just
Hard.
telling you, like,
And low-key, quiet as kept, Randle would have probably fit better in the Mike Brown offense because his face-up game, he doesn't mind dribbling and passing guys open. That's not really Karl Anthony Towns' thing. Karl Anthony Towns will just be a big body, and he'll make the pass off of just holding the ball and just being a threat as a three-point shooter. But Randle could actually, you know, even though we don't like seeing him dribble too much, but he's much more comfortable just penetrating with the face-up game and dishing the ball out.
again, I'm in the same. I actually listen to it. I think you're right on a lot of shit. I'm just saying, to me, when they were playing their best basketball, it was with space with Jalen Brunson. It doesn't mean that they're not, like, I hate that when they say, oh, he sucks. No, they're just not a good, like, to me, they're both ball dominant people. Like,
Yes.
Julius Randle is going to dribble it
Yes,
downhill and
I
play.
agree.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how he plays.
I agree.
Yeah.
Once teams playing for Jalen, who else is the playmaker?
That's another good
So
take.
that's-
Because Julius Randle was an elite
He was the-
playmaker
he
too.
was
So
the
that's
next one.
a great take.
So
And we can all be right.
he's
for
going
sure.
to carry a ton of load throughout the year.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to have to still be fresh come playoff time if I want to make
That's
a
the
run.
trick.
So
That's the trick.
Yeah, Julius' playmaking ability is really underrated. And you've seen everything come together last year in that playoff series against the Lakers. Randle was assisting like crazy. He was just killing the Lakers all over. He was way efficient with the scoring, his passing ability, his decision making. A lot of media members looked at Randle very, very different after that playoff series, and it's definitely long overdue. But again, this business is a cold game. It is a cold game. Even RJ Barrett went through tough times with the Knicks trading him away. And at the same time, he was dealing with a family member being sick. I believe it was his brother. And the business is always going to be the business. And when things peak and you have the ambitions of Leon Rose to get to the NBA Finals, you're going to have to move on. RJ, compared to some of the top level talents in his draft classes, is probably going to finish with a better career than Ja Morant, Zion Williams. I mean, it's just pretty much him, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero. They're making a run for who's going to have the best career within their class. But in this media landscape, these guys have the ability to let their thoughts out, as RJ Barrett threw some subtle shots at the Knicks and the kind of system that they ran during his time in New York.
Hey RJ, when you mentioned being excited, like walking in here today and saying, like looking at the squad, like we got a squad, you also said, and we do it the right way. And I was just curious what you meant by that, like what doing it the right way for this team is.
We don't have egos over here. Everybody wants to win, and that's coming from me, who's probably one of the most confident guys you've ever met in your life. We have players that are here with a good mindset of coming into to help the team win, and it's not just about any single individual player. I think that's what you need. So that way we can have conversations with each other. We can talk to each other like, yo, you're messing up right there, and it's no hard feelings. We need that that commitment to team excellence. Passing the ball is a huge thing. When I've been on teams where the ball doesn't move and then nothing happens after that. Nobody cares. And now everybody's just every man for themselves. So it's great to be on a team where, we move the ball and we play defense and we care about each other, honestly. We're all friends, we all hang out, everything's cool, things are just the way the Raptors do things is the right way, and I think that's why, we'll have some success.
I like how RJ said, I've been on teams. You only been on one other team. But which version of the Knicks is he talking about? He's talking about the David Fizdale Knicks, where he had Marcus Morris acting like he was Allen Iverson out there? Or is he talking about when he was playing with Randle and Brunson? Because he was the third option. And for what the Knicks needed him to do, which is catch and shoot threes, and when he takes the ball to the rack to actually fully finish, his vertical wasn't necessarily up there like that. As we can see the difference when OG came to the team, his finishing ability was night and day. But this wasn't RJ's first mention of the ball not necessarily moving while on the Knicks. Check out what he had to say when he first showed up in Toronto.
I've always been a guy that's been good in transition, so that always helps. But I cut more here just because I know I have a chance to get the ball, and even when I don't get it, I'm not upset about it because I know I'm getting it on the next one. If you cut all the time and you never get the ball, you're probably not going to want to cut.
sometimes things are really based off of circumstance. The Knicks didn't necessarily have the 3-point shooters out in the wing. Randle, RJ, and Brunson, they all occupied the paint. They're all paint scorers. So the spacing, it was kind of clunky, the offense at the end of the day. And we've seen it play out in that series against the Miami Heat with the team in the closeout game not getting any points from their starters. I believe Brunson was the only one that was really scoring. But the peak moment with RJ Barrett and the Knicks happened in the last few games before the trade. They went up against the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe it was a play-in game in which the Bucks almost hit the NBA record for just offensive efficiency against a team in a single game. But that team had a lot of guys with good size on them. Same thing for the matchup against the Orlando Magic. Their team doesn't run a sophisticated offense, but they do have a lot of players that have good size and could defend multiple positions. And RJ really struggled against that team once again. And mainly this matchup right here is what pretty much put the nail in the coffin when they went up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is all in December. Another team that has a lot of guys that play with speed and strength. They don't have the size, but they play with speed and strength. And RJ once again struggled. A lot of the things that the Knicks needed, they couldn't space the floor. And it looked like the team really peaked right then and there. The spacing is fucked up between Randle, RJ, and Brunson. They all love attacking the paint. And when they play against all those teams, those deficiencies really got exposed. So good thing for both parties. They went their separate ways and things really worked out for the best. RJ Barrett still having a solid career out there in Toronto. And the Knicks added the spacing and shooting that they need. But at the end of the day, RJ Barrett's going to have a solid pro career for well over a decade. He's lined up for it. And the naysayers are going to have a difficult time when they reevaluate who should have went number 1, 2, and 3 with a lot of the health situations that Ja Morant and Zion Williams are having. And also those players are tough to build around. They may have higher ceilings than RJ, but they're tougher to build around. And RJ has definitely been more consistent. So who knows how his career is going to pan out, but it wouldn't shock me if he was a solid contributor to a championship team, sort of like the way Andre Iguodala contributed to the Golden State Warriors.